We're going to talk about part 2 of how to scale fashion brands, particularly with meta ads. So just to kind of paint the picture again, there's a lot we're going over in this video series. There's even more I'm going to add to it about creative strategy, acquisition offers, things like that. But today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that's the ad account structure. So fashion brands that we do when we work with us is the playbook my team uses internally. It's a 160 slide playbook that we use internally. And it's over 6 years of knowledge and proven structure strategies that have worked that we use for our fashion brands. And so today's going to be the important part, which is the ad account structure. Because all the brands that come to us in my agency, they come to us because they want to scale. So what that means is over time, we developed a really great strategy that helps to give the outcome they all need, which is profit. If you saw the previous video, there's 2 main types of strategies you use for fashion brands. And the structure I'm going to show you is also kind of like that as well. So go back and watch that video if you haven't already. But the ad account structure really breaks down to 2 areas. Number one is you have the evergreen structure, and then you have a bolt-on structure, which I'll get into in a second. Let's start with the evergreen structure. So for the Facebook ad account, if you're a brand and you have evergreen product or you have an evergreen business model, this is going to be a main structure of your ad account. So we have the evergreen structure. So this is typically for brands that have products that aren't going to sell out because you always keep them in stock, or a high percentage of your revenue comes from 5 or less main products, not variants, but the main products. Like let's say you're a women's brand, you sell a wide range of things, but this one type of dress is just like bangers and people just go crazy for it, and that takes up a big percentage of your revenue. That's a great example of a product you want to keep in stock at all times, and that a lot of your ad spend is going to go behind. So let's talk about the structure. So our personal structure is we buy into account consolidation, and we like to have a campaign just for creative testing. There's a lot of debates out there online. All I can tell you is our model's proven. Other people's models are proven. I'll walk you through why we like this particular way of doing things. It really comes down to organization, which helps us to more easily report as well. So we have one campaign where we do all of our creative testing in. Very simple is we have a campaign. We typically target broad. I'm not going to get into the debate on interests and lookalikes and all that, because a lot of our brands, they have a lot of data. So we do all of our creative testing here. And then we always cycle in new batches of creative that we're testing for those evergreen products. So for example, we work in a 2-week sprint cycle with all brands, but in this video, fashion brands, where every 2 weeks we're launching and creating batches of creative. It doesn't mean we only test ads every 2 weeks. It just means we create a big batch of ads to survive the next 2 weeks. And so we have a creative testing campaign. And so once ads are proven to hit certain targets that we needed, we then graduate that to a scaling campaign, which I'll get to in a second. But one thing I think it's important to know is you want to make sure you're very good and clear on what are your targets of a successful ad. We have stuff in-house that we use internally on what those targets look like. If you want a video about that, let me know. But you have to be clear. And I would say cutthroat. This is the definition of a good ad. And a scaling ad, this is the definition of an ad that's not a scaling ad. So for example, for us, based off of certain CPAs, which are cost to acquire a customer, based off of hitting certain targets within a certain amount of spend in a certain time, will dictate this is an ad that is successful. We can now scale this ad. So just be very clear on what those are for you. You can figure that out because it's really based off of your margins and the margins for your products, which I'll also get into in this video. So we have the testing campaign. Once those are proven, graduate them to a scaling campaign. Okay. The reason we do it is because we funnel most of our budget behind the campaign and the ads that have proven to hit the targets that are going to be profitable or whatever their business model case is. So if they want to scale at break even, that's fine. If that's the target. If they want to have 10% margin on the first sale, that's the target, whatever that is. Budget allocation is a really critical activity when you're scaling brands, especially fashion brands, is you want to make sure your budget is going behind the things that are going to give you the highest amount of contribution profit, which I'll get into later. So having this campaign structure really helps for us to control that budget where it goes. And we personally like that. I'll show you that in a second. So the scaling campaign is very simple. We like account consolidation. Is you have a campaign, then we have our ad set. If it's an evergreen product with just a few products, we'll have one campaign, one ad set, and then we put all of our best ads for those hero product or products inside that campaign. I'll show you in a second how you can change that, but that's what we do. And the reason is it gives us an insane amount of stability. It gives us an insane amount of efficiency, which is essentially my dollars are working the best possible way for the return I'm getting. because we're able to control the budget and where it goes. And that's why we really like it. And then another benefit of here as well is because then that's where, in my opinion, account stability comes from. So you're not spending too much time on testing stuff that's not proven. It's only behind the best proven products, the most proven creatives, and then you can focus incrementally on testing. So that's for evergreen products. Now, if you have like a fashion drop model, which I covered in a previous video, or if you're a fashion brand and you still do new drops, you'll want to do what we call bolt-on campaigns. And this is just what we do. Is essentially the bolt-on campaigns we do are for new product drops, new collection releases. If you need to control budget for specific reasons, focusing on certain products or collections, like maybe you're trying to get rid of stock, or there's a special use case like you're working with a collaborator, influencer, and you want to push up the gross revenue because you guys agree to do that. Or if you're running a limited sale or giveaway, whatever that is, a separate campaign for that. So for example, here's how it works. Where for a drop campaign, you'll create a new campaign, right? Pretty simple. We'll create a new campaign because let's say it's an autumn drop like right here. So what we want is we want to control the budget and later report on how did that one drop do, especially if it's like a limited run, for example. It just allows us to control that budget. Now, if for whatever reason, let's say you have a product that's an autumn product, it may not be evergreen because, once it becomes winter, maybe it's not the right fit or the right warmth, right? Or maybe if it's springtime, it's too hot to wear that product. So they're typically limited run that we see. But if a product in there typically turns into an evergreen product, like, oh my gosh, it works so well, let's keep this in stock at all times, then you typically then use that for evergreen. We also create a new campaign for like re-releases. A lot of our fashion brands do this quite successfully, where they will revive something that was really hot last year, hot meaning sales, it worked really well last year, and they will re-release. Again, that's a separate campaign. And then for sales, if you're gonna have like a specific sale that's gonna happen, again, that's gonna be a separate campaign. Now, why we do this, and the critical part of why we're doing this is for reporting granularity. This is what's really important, is when you have a fashion brand, you have different products. You will have different margins on those different products, different collections. If you do not do this, this is what will happen. You are just running ads. What will happen is you may be putting budget behind something that is making you way less profit. For example, let me tell you a story. We have a brand that we worked for 3 years. And as an example, we did one of what we call our snowball strategies, which is essentially is we find marginal upside for them by changing nothing else. And typically it's looking at their pricing strategy. And so in this example, they were wanting us to push a specific collection. But that collection, while using this strategy, we found that, that collection makes you significantly less profit. Why can we do that? Because of the reporting granularity. We found that without taking into account specific margins per collection, let's say one collection was like 58% gross margins, another one was like 78 gross margins. But the 58% gross margin maybe sold more in volume, but made way less more profit. So by showing them, by using this strategy, we said, you're making so much more profit on this other collection. Let's focus here because you're going to make way more money than focusing on the previous collection. And so that's why we do it, because then with separate campaigns and the cleanness of those drops, we do granular reporting on collection specific reporting. So we can see how much money has been spent on this collection promoting it, how much gross revenue has that collection made, and if you want to, how much contribution profit is this one collection making us? Because with fashion brands, you could have hundreds of SKUs, many different collections. And by doing it this way, it allows you to see exactly which collections should you add more stock of? Should you have less stock of? Because maybe the margins just suck so much, so either you have to raise prices or it just doesn't work with ad spend as well. So let's focus on the stuff that really makes us profit. Because I've seen hundreds of fashion brands, and I see this is a trap they always get into, is they just want to scale and just do a lot more gross revenue, but they don't get granular like this to really see which collections are actually making me the money. Let's double down on that, because I've seen so many brands that come to us just by changing what you focus on, what you advertise, can make you so much more profit if you get this deep. All right, that is our strategy for fashion brands in the Facebook ad account. If you found this helpful, make sure you give me a like, comment, subscribe. I really mean that. Commenting gives me the good feelings to keep making these videos. But if you also want to see something else, I will continue on this video series of showing how we scale fashion brands. But if you're actually a brand and you're watching this and you need help with this, we do a lot of fashion, we do a lot of other verticals. In the comment description is actually a calendar link for you to schedule a call with me. So use that. I'd love to hop on a call with you. Worst case scenario, you meet someone new. I show you a few strategies for you to make more money, and we're friends, right? So let me know. Can't wait to see you on a call. But if nothing else, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.